I'm about to feed them to the sharks right now. Get them hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it go. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to this episode of the BJJ Campaign podcast. My name's Jeff Boone. I'm an A3, purple belt, 2 stripes.
Phil Kors, A2, purple belt, 2 stripes.
What do you want to talk about today, Philly?
Jeff made it back from Texas.
I don't want to talk about that.
Too bad.
You want to know what my favorite story is about the whole Texas thing?
Mm-hmm.
So it was the 6:30 p.m. class, and we'd probably been training there for a couple weeks. We're training 2 times a day with Donna Hurt, 10 in the morning at 6:30 p.m. And he comes rolling in to the parking lot in this pimped out Hyundai Genesis. Looks like a really nice car, right? It's this white Hyundai Genesis with blacked out windows, except his driver's side window is rolled down and the sunroof is open.
Mm-hmm.
And he's blaring Ted Nugent Caught in a Stranglehold. And so we go in there, and so whenever you get in there, he usually shows up. It's for 6:30 class, he usually shows up at 6:45 and goes in the corner where nobody is, because they know that's his corner to warm up. And his warm up consists of him sitting on his knees, looking around, looking down at the mat, wiggling his hips, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And then he gets up, and you could hear a pin drop. Like, everybody's talking, but then when he gets up, you can hear a pin drop. He goes, okay, let's start down on the mat. And that's when he gets started. So whenever he was in his warm-up procedure, which nobody is to interrupt, I think it's an unspoken rule. Obviously, I didn't pay attention to that unspoken rule. And I said, pretty appropriate music you were playing on the way in. He looks at me real dry after he comes up from like staring at his knees, and he goes, "Story of my life." And then he gets started. It was great. I don't know why it was just so funny. Like
Yeah.
the whole thing was just surreal to me. That of course he's blaring 80s music, and of course it's Caught in a Stranglehold.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But I don't know why it struck me funny, but it was very funny.
That is funny.
But also, like, my other favorite things were, outside of just learning every day, my other favorite things were that we would have story time with John after the 10 a.m. class. And it was usually only like 1, maybe 2 days a week. But like whenever you noticed that he didn't get up immediately after sparring and go get his stuff and go to the bathroom and change, he would just sit down on the mat, and then like probably 60% of the people stayed and just gathered in a circle around him, and he would just tell stories for, it seemed like 5 minutes, but it was probably an hour. And it was just because you just wrapped up in the story the whole time. So those are my 2 favorite things outside of the just the instruction itself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. The other, I don't even know if I should disclose this. I'm going to, because I'm pretty sure John Donaher will never listen to this podcast. The other thing that was very disturbing is that when he went in or out of the bathroom, he never had shoes on.
Interesting.
Very disturbing. So, little known facts, folks. If you don't know, wear shoes in the bathroom. That's kind of disgusting. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
He's a strange bird.
Definitely different.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, had a great time. Learned a ton. Did a lot of things to really help retain, and a big help in that was having Roland there, because we were doing notes each night, and then we would kind of talk to each other about our notes, and if I left something out, he'd tell me, and he left something out, I'd tell him. I was using my BJJ notes, and he was just using a notepad and like doing the stuff. And then Elijah came in for like 10 days, and that was great because Elijah's very good about documentation.
Is he?
And he also made a private YouTube channel where we made videos of all those techniques that he showed.
Oh, okay.
Those 10 days. So like it's a private page.
Yeah.
But
So for $10 a month.
no, I'm not selling it. Forget it. You're not getting it. You got to buy Donner's. I'm sure the quality is a little bit lower than that, but Donner's DVDs. But you know, we'll see. But yeah, that was really good. I feel like it's, you know, like anything. It was very interesting the way he taught, because the way he taught was not at all how he is in his instructionals. You know, he's very verbose, if you will, in his instructionals, and explains everything in extreme detail.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't do that with the techniques, but he has a way. And Roland pointed it out, is every time that he said, and if there's any children listening, please close your ears. Anytime he said fuck, like he remembered it. So he had this this Canadian Uki. He was a little guy, a little black belt, and he was just merciless in making fun of this guy every day, and he just kept showing up and doing it. And so anytime that he was in a position, he would go, okay, and what would be your normal reaction to this? And the guy would go, say this or do this, and he'd go, well, that's fucking stupid. And so, and you know, we'd be like, me and Roland would be like, look at each other, being like, yeah, we would have done that same thing too. But the interesting part about it was, even in the simplicity of his teaching, in every technique, whenever he would bring that up and he would say that, and I think he was doing it because I think it really was a technique that he uses for teaching, that it drilled whatever he was doing. He was giving you the counter to whatever he was doing every single time. You know, and because he would say, no, that's fucking stupid. If you were really good at jujitsu, you would do this. You know, and so that kind of sticks with you. And not, I think that in a fundamentals class, which that certainly wasn't, even though he did go over a lot of fundamental movements and moves. I think that that was just a giant help, and I think that he's not doing it on accident. I don't think he does anything on accident whenever he does that. So,
well, you're a big rabbit hole guy. So that's gonna work for you.
And I don't think, like I said, I don't think in a fundamentals class that's necessarily a good thing, because that's too much of a rabbit hole. Sure. But listen, there was the odd thing was there was 0 questions. Anytime he did it, he did the move twice, and then he broke for drilling. And he drilled, I'm going to say, each move probably 4 to 5 minutes. And anytime he was doing it, you could see him scanning the room. And like he would say, very good, you know, whatever. But he's always very positive. And then he would come back in and correct anything we were doing, just as you would normally, and then move on to the next move. You know, not go back and drill it, but just like, here's the mistake, move on.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been a slower, more teaching style.
Definitely not.
Based off what I've seen.
No, Marigali had a longer teaching style Danaher did. You know, the techniques, whenever he would show them, it was probably, I'm going to say on the technique, maybe 3 minutes, you know, setting it up. Here's the setup, go over the kind of defenses that they will use, and then address every single one of those defenses in the subsequent moves.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So really kind of that, I would think like the perfect formula for the, whatever your advanced or masters or what, not fundamentals class would be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Your jiu-jitsu class where you're looking at like a sequence.
Yeah.
Versus isolated.
Yes. Yes. It was always a sequence, and it always had to do with everything else. And then even at the end of the stuff, he would wrap it around to like the weeks thing where, you know, he would mention that, you know, on all those other attacks come because of these, you know?
Okay. So he has a curriculum in his mind that he's kind of using. I gotcha.
Yeah. And I heard him say on Lex Friedman that, like, I think he has an overall curriculum, but I think that can change at any time, like for what he's seeing, because he did note, like, for the week, whenever on the Lex Friedman podcast, he noted, he was like, I'll kind of see how everyone was doing with this, and I might change directions and come up with a new lesson plan.
Sure.
Depending, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was just always very positive, and it was funny because, you know, anytime, because he was really studying everyone rolling the whole time, and I was in front of him one time, and I did a half guard sweep, and he goes, "Very nice, Mr. Boone. Very nice." You know, I was like, "Whoa!" And you know, he complimented a lot of, like, whenever you do something right, he would compliment you, and he complimented Roland, which I thought was great, and he was like, you know, at the end of class, he goes, "I can see that you really think about every position and what you're doing in those positions." He said, he was like, "Keep doing that. That's a really good thing." So it was I guess I was expecting something different, but I don't know why I was, you know, just silly, but just, you know, super engaging. And again, not at all. There was never a boring moment in class.
Sure.
You know, it flew by. And another thing, at the end, we rolled at the end of every class, and it was usually 3 rounds, but there was never a timer. He was the timer, and that, you know, the rounds might be 10 minutes. They might be 2 minutes, you know, and he would vary it all the time. And I like that. I really enjoyed that. It makes the whole room like pace themselves. I mean, not the whole room, you know, obviously there's going to be spazzes no matter what, but yeah, it was, you could tell he really put a lot of thought, as you would probably think, into everything that he was doing.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
It was a blast. It was hell on my body. You know, I would train 3 times a day, twice a week, and then twice a day. So for the 3 times a day, that was whenever I would get up at 6 and go to the 6:30 class, which was, I could only do that 1, possibly 2 days a week.
Right.
You know,
It's impressive you did that. No, you don't like to do that.
no, but it's fucking Mary Golly. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you going to not go to Mary Golly's gi class when you're down there? You got to.
Most days, yes.
Most days,
But
correct.
sometimes.
Yeah. But sometimes. Oh, Marigali story. So Fernando, Savage Fern on Instagram, Fernando was Marigali's uki, and it was on this. He was doing this really heavy pressure for whenever you're taking the back and not really allowing them to move and expending a lot of energy, making them expend a lot of energy whenever they were trying to get out of like turtle position. And he goes, okay, Fernando, you're out. He goes, I need somebody bigger and stronger for this. And then he points at me and he brings me up there. And we made fun of Fernando the rest of the time we were there for that. So then it was bigger, stronger, more handsome. You know, there was a lot of
course, yeah.
You know, a lot of things to that. But that was you know, memorable for me.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad Roland got to go. It seems like
it's such an asset to have him there the whole time because he's so much better at jiu-jitsu. You know, and like some of the things that I wasn't understanding, he would, you know, was able to, like, he's a great teacher. He really is, and he was able to help me on a lot of stuff that I wasn't getting.
Yeah,
the backside 50-50 is one of them that now I understand, but it was tough whenever he was doing that. I'm not going to go into it.
Which one's that?
Jesus Christ. So whenever you, oh God, I'm going to butcher this. So basically it was from that one position that we were looking at with the modified spider guard for no-gi, not really spider guard, but whenever you had them with your shoelaces on one side of their body and your top on the other side of their body, and you had their arms like the punch block defense trapped by your knees in a butterfly position, right? And on the one arm, the left arm was mine, you would go down to the wrist and secure the wrist and use that leverage against the knee to sweep them. But if they posted their arm, then you would go to that backside 50 position. So it was basically whenever they posted the arm, whenever they were going over, you would then invert, go under, and then take your left leg and weave it in behind their left leg and in front of their right leg and go into a heel hook in that backside 50-50. That wasn't as bad as I thought.
That was good.
Okay. Good.
I'm totally fucking lost.
Well, I was too. Yeah,
But
I get it.
I know where you started from, and I think I know where you ended up.
Yes. Getting there is a bitch.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
That's a gray area in the middle.
I'll be honest with you. But that was really good. And then, you know, man, just reaffirming that the whole jiu-jitsu community is awesome. Like it was, you know, we were like, it wasn't, there would be in the morning class, usually 40 people there. And that's a crowded mat space there.
Sure.
And in the evening, there'd be as many as 60 people there. And, you know, just great people. Met, Sebastian. He was the Australian trials winner. He just, by the way, got his brown belt from Gary Tonin while he was there. Cool. Yeah. So purple belt. And so met him, and he was doing another. Austin's the mecca for jiu-jitsu. I mean, I'm sure there are places people are going to be like, oh, Brazil's the mecca. Okay, maybe. But there's so much jiu-jitsu in Austin. So every Thursday night, they had like a free Thursday night jiu-jitsu that you go to and compete in if you wanted to. If you just, you know, email them or whatever and compete. So Sebastian competed in the main event there twice whenever I was there. Won both times. I actually beat one of Danaher's Roca team. So just to backtrack on that a little bit is that we were taking classes at the Henzo Gracie Austin. It was the new wave classes that were 6:30 a.m., 10 a.m., and 6:30 p.m. And before class, Donner's over at Roca teaching the pro team. And then he comes in for the class. And then after the class, he's over at Roca again, teaching the pro team, and then comes back for the 6:30. And so the one guy that Sebastian went up against was from the pro team, and he beat him, got him, submitted him in like last 30 seconds or so with a triangle. And it was a great match. And if you want to look it up on Instagram, it's Thursday Night Jiu-Jitsu, and it's 10th Planet Austin, and on YouTube it's Thursday Night Jiu-Jitsu. Those are, if you just look those up, you can
see the things on the YouTube app all the time for that one now.
Yeah, and it's Thursday. There it's 8:30, so that's 8:30 Central, so 7:30 or
9:30 here.
9:30 here. When it would start. So, and like the who's who was there every week. Like the Jiu-Jitsu Giant was coaching against, and that was a funny story. So when we walk in, Dan Manasoy, who's I said that wrong. I butchered his last name, but whatever. He won't listen to it either. But me and Roland just took a private lesson from him on heel hook defense, and he was there. And I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" He's like, "Not much." And he's like, "I'm just here, coaching." What's his name? I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Well, we're here coaching Sebastian." And he gives me the double bird. He's like, "We can't be friends now, not for this amount of time." He's a character, man. And and so Sebastian beats him, and Dan's over there coaching that guy the whole time. And then afterwards, he looks over, and I give him the double bird. And so that was fun. But Nicky Rod was there, J Rod, Ethan Krellinston, Nick Ortiz. Just who's who of jiu-jitsu in a lot of those. And they were coaching their people. That was kind of the training ground, the proving ground for that stuff. And it was crazy good jiu-jitsu, man. You'd be like, they would announce a match, and they'd be like, white belt. And these guys were doing, was pretty advanced shit, I thought, well, you could still tell, but it was a high quality, competitive experience. And usually it was nice because it was only there was only like 5 matches each night. So it's 8 minutes sub only, with the EBI rules after. So it was like max 45 minutes,
Yeah.
So it was really cool to be able to do that. It was a really good scene, really. And 10th Planet Austin, holy shit, man. They had I'm going to say they had 3,000 square feet of mat space at least.
Really?
At least.
Huh.
Yeah, and a cage in addition to that. Yeah. It was really, really impressive. So yeah, and then Godfrey, another one of our guys, competed. He won in that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just the whole scene, we didn't really do much outside of jiu-jitsu and eat barbecue. We went to see Clutch one night because they were in town. And there's another thing showing how great the jiu-jitsu community is Micah, who's a brown belt, and he actually does the competitive team, but he also comes to the Henzo Gracie Austin. He was like, whose Clutch hat is this? I was like, "Oh, that's mine. I love Clutch." And he was like, "They're playing at Emo's, the bar that I work at tonight, right?" I was like, "No, I had no idea." And he goes, "Okay." So we exchanged Instagram, and he messaged me. He goes, "Hey man, you and Roland, you can come up to the ticket office and just pick up your tickets," because it was sold out. Whenever I looked, it was sold out. And so that guy didn't know us from Adam, and just float up $80 worth of tickets, and just because we were jiu-jitsu people.
Right.
It was just really cool.
He saw you moving.
Yeah, man. You know it. he beat the brakes off me. It was great. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and Roland had some wars. It was great. But yeah, man, like I said, it speaks to the whole jiu-jitsu community. I really, it was just a fun time. It's something that I'm going to try to do every year. You know, I think a month is a good amount of time.
You like that time? Because when I talked to you when you first got back, you were thinking you were kind of sore.
Yeah, I had to go to Matt Crandall to get dry needles because I was locked up. But, you know, I mean, I forget about it there just a couple weeks after. It was like, it was fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm young.
It's true. True.
But, you know, I like that. I like that time frame for not only just the relationships, but just for the continuity of it and retention of it. I don't know. I guess you could do it shorter.
It was quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't as long as like when you say a month and I was like, he's going to be gone for a while. It wasn't as long as you know.
I mean, you miss me, obviously.
I was talking crazy. I was like, well, take a car ride on. We'll go here and there. And you get back, nah, not doing that. But yeah, no, not, I mean, I would never do it.
No,
but,
obviously.
Yeah, that's
right.
A long time away from the
obviously.
But no, I mean, I get it. Like for a good chunk of time to get kind of used to it and in the flow and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with like actual class formats versus, because I compare it to like what Origin was, which is just like completely unrelated seminar style stuff. And sometimes in the same class, you're just doing unrelated things. So to have like thought out stuff where you're really spending all that time, because even after Origin, I always notice I feel a lot better just because there's so much time on the mat moving around that like I can only imagine the focused effort, you know, on one, or maybe not one, but like a more tight curriculum basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you're absolutely right. You know, there's something to be said for the Origin camp. I think it's a great camp, and I think there's a lot to be learned just by being on the mat for that period of time, right? Because it's usually three training sessions a day. But like the focus was better for me, and also like just the movements and motion. Like the first time we did that backside 50 entry, I was lost. I mean, when I say lost, I mean I was not doing anything right on it. And then by the end of it, it was like, oh, I understand that, and not that I understand it, but my body understands it and knows, oh, that's the right. Even though I'm sure there's details that I can work out, but just the overall motion of getting into it, that there would have been no way I would have ever made that transition before. I was doing that transition in rolling. You know what I mean? So it obviously is good in that respect for body movement, and especially with things that are foreign to that. You know, it's almost, you almost liken it to like whenever you first started jiu-jitsu and you saw somebody like step across for the standard arm bar whenever they're on their back, right? You're like, oh God, there's no way I'll ever be able to do that. And then you can do it, you know, and it's fine. It's not hard, but it's that, you know, it's that same level of understanding in those different, maybe a little bit more intricate positions in that. So.
Damn, I had a question and I lost it when I was listening to you talk. What else? I'm trying to think of what I was just about to say.
Oh, Big Dan, man. So whenever he won the ADCC, I think it was the European trials. You know, Danaher gives him blades and stuff. And that's another thing that he and I talked about, but he's a fixed blade guy. I love knives. He loves knives. And,
meaning he doesn't like when it opens and closes.
He does not. He wants a fixed blade, meaning it's just always open, you know? And he gave Dan this giant knife. I don't know. I think it's something called the bone crusher or something. And one of the sides was made for breaking bones on animals, you know? And he was like, and Dan he told me the story of what he did. And Donner was like, this is a, you know, representative. And it was when he got his purple belt, was whenever he won the trials of Dan's style and precision in his leg locks. And he's had the most breaks of any athlete I've ever trained in competition. So his breaking pressure, and that's why I got him that giant knife. And it was pretty cool, man. It was super sharp. He came out, he had the paper and was like slicing the paper, you know, stuff. It was badass. You know, in this little apartment where he had these little mats that we were doing the private on. It was cool. It was a fun experience.
You're a big knife guy now.
I have been for a couple of years. I blame Shannon for that.
Yeah.
Shannon. Yeah. He showed me a knife one day. I was like, that's a really nice knife. He's like, yeah, Spyderco, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I went home, looked up Spyderco, bought one, and then subsequently just bought more and more. And therefore, my knife addiction. I'm a knife guy.
Yeah.
I got one on me right now.
A little bit of an axe guy, knife guy. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so that was interesting and I don't know, it was just fun. It's fun. All that stuff, you know, the jiu-jitsu's awesome and it's great. And you know, who knows, maybe I'll retain 30%. I think that's probably a high number. I don't know. I mean, the good thing is that when I was there, I was really trying to implement everything that he was doing into the game, and the guard, you know, no-gi guard retention is really hard. And that got a lot better because he did a lot of guard retention stuff, and we did a lot of pass, sweep, or submit. You know, he would always define. It was at the end in our rolling sessions. It was never just a free roll ever. You know, it was whatever we worked on. If we worked on mount, it was escaping mount, but not just escaping mount, but having to get guard. And the only way, it wasn't like if you got the back, you won. It was the only way the person on top won is if they submitted you. So it was, you know, it was really that gave you more time in the position. You know what I mean? And if they got the side control, you were working more time in side control. If they got the back, you were working more on defense on back. So I you know, that was pretty interesting. That every class was that way, you know, and a lot of it pass, sweep, or submit. But yeah, so the positional sparring, you can tell he really highly values.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I was heel hooking you a lot right before you left.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now.
Yeah. True.
Pretty good at defending it. So
True.
Tables have turned.
Oh, and I got to roll with the big pygmy. You know who that is?
No.
Justin Wren. He's a professional MMA fighter. The guy who has the Fight for the Forgotten Foundation that digs wells in the Congo for the pygmies. And he was coming off an injury. He's a big dude, super strong. Holy shit, that guy's strong. He's a blue belt, and we were doing mount defense. So that was a lot of fun, and it was that same thing of you had to submit or escape all the way back to guard. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I like the idea of it all the way back to guard.
Yes, me too.
Makes sense.
And I like the idea of submission. You know, because it does give you a little bit more of a live roll feel, even though it's positional. Right, because no matter where they go, if you escape the side control, if they get your back, you're still on the defense and you're not stopping. You know, so
back to neutral makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. What else? I inadvertently stalked him and followed him home one day. I didn't really follow him home, but I was going to pick up Black's barbecue after, and I left out, and he left out right in front of me, and we were going the same way. And he lived, which Black's is only like less than a mile from the academy, and then he pulled into this apartment complex. I just supposed he lived there, or maybe he saw the tail and decided to throw, see if I was really following him. But yeah.
I just had a question. Yeah, that's awesome. No, I'm glad it was a good trip. Talked to Roland and you a couple times on the phone and stuff. We were down there. It always sounded like it was fun. So
yeah, no, it was a blast. It was a blast. And too, I probably wouldn't have got through that, but I did Sober October.
That was my question. Did you lose weight?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I lost like Roland lost like 12 pounds like the first week.
Really?
Yeah, because he was eating clean.
Okay.
Because I eat pretty clean anyway.
Yeah.
And so
Same.
he was eating. Shut up. So he was eating clean, and no, I lost probably, I think it was 9 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I mean, that was the most that was the leanest I'd been in a long time. Mm-hmm. So
since like high school.
Oh, I wasn't ever that lean in high school. Like I never had abs in high school. No, definitely not. But yeah, I mean, it was intense. It was good. That was good. And like I said, if I hadn't have done Sober October, I think the inflammation from the consuming alcohol, even if it's not that much, it's real. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether people want to admit it or not. And also, another thing that I think that I don't pay attention to, because I like to have a few cocktails, is the clarity of thought from not having any drinks. Mm-hmm. It was distinct. My mental focus, thought clarity, that was a big uptick.
Mm-hmm.
So,
has November been sober?
No.
Okay.
Come on.
I didn't know if you were gonna.
I was like,
doing it 2 months in a row would be cheating.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't want to feel great all the time.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, that was my question I was thinking about when you were talking, and like about the schedule, was if you had lost more weight, because you had cut down, I thought, pretty recently. Again, like you had lost more weight within like the last.
Yeah, I was down to like 214 at the leanest I was there. I don't know if the scales are the same. It seemed like they were pretty much the same, because whenever
they're an hour behind.
No, because I was like 224 or 223 or 224 whenever when you got there. Yeah. And I'm back to like 220 now, so it's not like it was certainly.
I would imagine you were sweating a lot.
It was, well, but I didn't, so I would never do it there. I would always weigh in before the session.
I just mean like you weren't replenishing how much you were training. You're sweating everything out all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's for sure that was, I was eating probably normal stuff. I did eat a little more fruit than I generally do, just simply because glycogen stores and not wanting to cramp up, because I cramped up one time whenever I was like, and I'm not doing that anymore. So we would put salt in my water and electrolytes and stuff. And I started eating, a couple apples, maybe an orange or something, a couple bananas, just to get that sugar back in my system that I don't normally do. But that, that was good. I only cramped that one time, and that was it. So yeah, after I got that kind of on point, that was good.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
What's next?
What's next?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to, you and I and a couple other people, Roland and Michael, we're going to the Fight to Win 216 in Charlotte, North Carolina next weekend.
Are you competing?
No, but Roland did get a link to apply to compete, so he might be.
Oh, he submitted?
I don't know if he submitted. He said they sent me a link. He's like, I guess because he competed. I think did he compete in it last time? It was no, not last time.
I don't think he's ever done Fight to Win. He did Toro Cup.
I don't know how or what, but they sent him the link. They texted him the link. Or maybe he requested it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But so he might be competing in it. But no, I'm not.
I'd be much more interested if he was.
That was fun when we went last time. I thought it was awesome.
It was.
Yeah. We got front row seats too. Derek, thanks to Derek Coffrin. Bam. Newest purple belt there at Mark Kukro's.
Mm-hmm. When did he get his purple belt?
I think it's been several months now. I think he tested for it and got it.
Did I know that? I can't remember if I knew that or not.
I don't know.
He doesn't post on Facebook much.
No.
So then I'm not going to know.
No, yeah, but I hope I'm not wrong on that. I think he got his purple belt from Mark.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing him post or Mark post something and he was in it, but I don't remember what it was. And it was a long time ago now. It was months ago. So I don't
It's
remember
3-4 months ago at least. Who knows? That might be a year ago. As you get older, I don't fucking know the time.
You were in Texas for a month. So
yeah, you're right. It seemed like a week. Oh, also, whenever we were there, it was really cool because we got an Airbnb and it was a little place and the community there, super nice people, man. I mean, we just kind of integrated into the whole thing. It was,
we were in Austin. Nobody's been there longer than 3 months.
Well, these people had, these were lifers. Yeah.
Oh.
Kathy, the cat lady.
Okay.
She was super nice.
Sounds awesome.
Cassie and Kurt, they were nearby and they were actually the Airbnb guys. Cassie was the niece of the guy that we rented the Airbnb off of. But they were super cool and they let us use their grill so we could grill out.
Ooh,
yeah.
that's good.
Pretty stoked. So, I mean, I know you would have probably made friends just as quickly as we did. But
of course.
Yeah. But yeah, so Fight to Win, 216 Charlotte. I don't know. I didn't even look at the card. I don't even know if it's published yet.
Yeah, I didn't. I was just asking in general, what's next?
Well, that's next.
That is next. Now that you bring it up, yeah.
I mean,
it is.
How's it not next? What's next for you, Phil? I've been blathering on now for 40 minutes. I don't need to do any more.
This is all about you.
No, it's not all about me.
I carry the show week to week.
That's true.
This one's on you.
It's true. That is true. And the folks have been demanding we post another one to 3 people
what happened in Texas.
Listen.
Jeff does Dallas.
Austin. No, it was good. It was a lot of fun. I treasure it. I will always be thankful and look back fondly on it. I'm super grateful. Super grateful too that like every time I do this, it makes me realize how lucky we are at the quality of instruction that we get on a weekly basis. It's just, you can't, it's terrible to say, but like, I felt like my understanding of arm bars and triangles got better down there, but he was teaching all the same stuff that John and Steve teach. I mean, it was, in that it's just a different way, And so like, even the fundamental stuff that he did go over was helped, and then you're like, oh yeah, he does say that, whenever you're thinking back on it. So
different words to say the same thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it makes sense.
Right.
Plus, I didn't do a great job explaining what I'm talking about. Like, those classes are very specific to that rule set, of your no-gi sport grappling rule set. So that eliminates a lot of like all-encompassing jiu-jitsu. So what I mean when I'm like a lot of time focusing is like, you're in a strict rule set where you have triangles, arm bars, guillotines, kimuras, heel hooks, rear naked choke. You know what I mean? Like, those are your staples. And like, you have a month of only training those things. Like, you better get better at those things. You know what I mean? Like, twice a day focusing on
the Darce Anaconda stuff was great. You're right. But you know what? That because
you're kind of narrowing what like is typically all encompassing. Like, you have so many things to worry about, and like a street fight, sort of self-defense situation, and you're eliminating an enormous amount of that to fit within a rule set. And then those are the most efficient things, and you get to focus on those twice a day, every day. And, so that's cool to me to focus on that and then like really train
and
that.
I'll tell you this, with that month, I feel like we got through most all of his curriculum, quite honestly, with 2 a day, because he never did the same class. You know what I mean? And also something interesting that you just jogged my memory on was that he would really point out, like, this position is not something that you're going to want to do in self-defense. If this is a sport grappling position. This is not going to, and he would say that very often in that stuff. So I thought that was really interesting.
Well, you're an MMA coach too.
Well, no,
right?
I know
So
that, but no, I know he knows.
Yeah.
I know he knows. It's just, it just,
Well,
again,
you saying that though makes me think there's probably MMA people in there that are kind of like looking at the position like, yeah, I probably shouldn't.
100% there are MMA. Yes.
They're going to punch me in the face.
100%. Yeah. Justin Wren, for example, he was in, he's an MMA guy. That's a really, it's a really salient point of him to make. So, but I did think that was interesting because of the fact that it was a very narrow focus. So,
well, I like it because I'm a slow learner. So like it takes me a long time. So I do that stuff on my own time of like, I've been focusing on just putting like a reverse De La Riva hook in when people knee cut for like 6 months now. It's like that. I'm a slow learner. So I got to figure it out. So like, I like eliminating a lot and being like, this chunk of things, they work, they're important. Let's just figure these out. I do think that's cool.
I did correct him on his guillotine, and I told him.
Was he saying it weird?
He was saying guillotine. I said that's fillotine.
Yeah, it's weird. Some people haven't caught up. It's fine.
So it might catch on now. So who knows?
Yeah. And now it's gone from Maine all the way to Texas. So
yeah.
The corrections have started.
Yes.
If you say it long enough, it
gonna
becomes true.
Stick.
It just becomes true. If you say
It's
it
going
long
to
enough.
stick. All right, Philly. Anything else?
No, that was the most important thing from the past month for our semi-annual podcast.
Yeah. Right. I looked back. It was like October 2nd. We're first. First?
Yeah. I think I uploaded on the first because that was the day you were leaving.
Yeah.
Because we did it right before you left.
Yep. That's right. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get a little more regular. But, whatever it is, it is. I mean, we don't have that many people who listen anyway.
Got to keep them waiting.
That's right. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's true.
Well, cool. Tell the folks out there how to support us if they choose to do so.
Subscribe to Jeff's private YouTube page. You can buy a rash guard from Jeff. You can share the podcast with your friends. You could give us suggestions of things to talk about. You could remind us we have a podcast and we should do them sometimes. Those are the main things.
Good point. And Phil, did I tell you this? We have our first sponsored athlete.
Yeah, I clipped the thing and I sent it to you.
Yeah.
From this match.
Sebastian Attard. That's Ebsayz, EBSAYZ on Instagram. The guy talked about the trials winner for the Australian trials, and he's here for 3 months. So we are now sponsoring him. He is wearing our rash guard in all of his matches, and though we didn't sponsor Big Dan, he's got our rash guard, and Donahur's got our rash guard that he will never wear because he only wears long sleeve rash guards.
Why?
I don't know. And by the way, he only wears long sleeves rash guards and pushes them up over his
elbow. Yeah.
Just mystifying.
I didn't hate the long sleeve rash guard. I liked it. I have one or two, and
can't see the guns.
Yeah. I get it. I got concealed carry.
All right, folks, we're digressing here. If you're not doing something out there each and every day to make yourself better, get out there and do it. Phil and I choose jiu-jitsu. We hope you do too.
I'm about to feed them to the sharks right now. Get them hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is our ocean. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it go. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.